All right, Heather, why do I feel like I'm in a perpetual Groundhog Day with my weight loss efforts? I keep waking up every day. I keep saying I want to do all these things. I'm going to accomplish all this. And then come 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm always going to the pantry. I'm always doing things that are super counterproductive. And I don't know why this is happening. So what that tells me, if that's a cycle you're stuck in, you definitely need to go to my playlist called Thinking Leads to Eating. That's what we've been talking about really for like the last 6 months. It's all about why do you do that cycle. But I want to give you a little bit more insight as to how this works. So think of your lower brain as an overly protective parent. It loves you, it wants what's best for you in the moment, not long term, in the moment. So if you're in discomfort, it's gonna offer you the cookies, it's gonna offer you the chocolate bars, it's gonna offer you all the pizza. But it never wants to let you make any mistakes. It doesn't want you to do anything new because it's terrified. What if something happens to you? It's the protection, it's the fight or flight part of your brain. It's what would keep you in survival if you were living back in, say, primitive times where you had to forage for your own food and you were fighting big animals, and it had a purpose, right? But your higher level brain, your brain that thinks new thoughts, that says, hey, we're going to go to college and get this degree, and we know we're going to invest 4 years in this process. It's the higher level brain that says, hey, when we retire at 65, we want to have money in our 401k, so we're going to invest in that every month. It's the part of your brain that comes up with new ideas and says, hey, you know, I'm at my job, I heard there was a struggle, I had this cool thought of something new we could do, and it's creating original ideas that could actually be an improvement to something that already exists. That is your thinking brain. Here's how the problem goes. Thinking brain comes in the morning and says, these are all the things we want to do. We see long term, 2 years from now, we'd like to be at this goal weight. We think it would really be helpful to get our cholesterol in check and drop our, sugar levels and get off this medication and play with the grandkids. It has all these great ideas for you. Looking into the future, planning it out, really thinking that this is a worthwhile endeavor. Then through the day, lower brain comes in, and it's the overly protective parent. It's not going to let you take risks. It's not going to let you think outside the box. It's afraid that, oh my gosh, if you make that recommendation at work, what if nobody else likes it? What if they think that's a horrible idea? What if you get fired over it? No, don't suggest that. That could be the end of our career. It's also the part that comes in and says, hey, sweetheart, you've had a really rough day. How about we go ahead and eat all the cookies in the pantry because that'll make you feel better. It's never going to let you take positive risks or move towards something good for yourself because it's always going to look for the ways it's going to go wrong, all the ways it's going to break down. And then if you, gosh forbid, feel any discomfort, oh my gosh, your tummy's growling. Let's go eat everything in the refrigerator, even though you got this long-term goal, right? It's there to keep you comfortable in the moment. It's there to protect you from making a mistake and possibly having failure. I always say it thinks about like your death, your demise, in the sense of you could be shunned from the group. You could, be kicked out of the family. You could lose those connections that were very important at one time, right? Not to say they aren't still important, but I'm just saying we have a different relationship way we handle things with people now than we did when we lived in tribes and groups and, had to forage for our own food, right? Totally different. So the reason you want to think about this, a super overly protective parent is not going to push their kid off the sidelines into the game to take a huge risk. They're going to want to protect them. They're going to want to make sure they don't get injured. They're going to make sure that they don't let their team down because they're deathly afraid of them getting this issue with the team and having felt like they failed at something. So if it stands in that way and every day it's coming in, once you see those two relationships and how they show up for you, you got this one brain that's totally thinking about the future and wants the great things for you and realizes there is a certain amount of risk and that yes, it's going to take work and yes, there's going to be discomfort. Like if I'm trying to lose 100 pounds, It's going to require me to maybe feel a little hungry sometimes. It's going to maybe require me to say no to certain activities on the weekends and do some food prep or go grocery shopping or whatever. Like if that's something worth working on, it's worth doing a little sacrifice. But your lower brain just detects she's discomforted right now. She's having to say no to this thing right now. She is feeling sad, lonely, frustrated, annoyed right now. What can I give her to make her feel better right now? So it's always coming from a loving, concerned, caring place. But as you really back off, what you start to see is they're almost like competing goals going on, right? One wants you to strive for more, have more, achieve more, take risks, push yourself a little bit. The other one's like, no, 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 don't do that. You could feel X, Y, or Z. You could fail at this. You could be embarrassed. You're physically in discomfort right now. Let's go eat the cake. And once you see those relationships, it gets way easier to say, lower brain, thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you so much for making these recommendations, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm going to be able to handle a little grumbly tumbly tonight. I can go for a walk today. My day sucked at work, but I don't have to eat cookies to help me with that. Because in all fairness, it never makes the work situation better, right? But what we do is we feel like it's Groundhog Day because we start out with one way of thinking, and then at some point we start listening to the overly protective parent. And it is a habitual loop. If every single time you felt discomfort, you were offered cookies and candy, in a way it's comforting, right? You feel that sense of comfort. This is something I've done so many times. So not to do it feels uncomfortable. But hear me, as long as your lower brain is the thing running the show, you will stay in a perpetual Groundhog Day forever. It's not going to end because there's never going to be a day that it's going to let you go and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you take those big risks today. You know what? You can deal with discomfort in this 5 minutes. Never going to do it. Never going to happen. Never going to do it. It's going to show up every single day saying the exact same thing, trying to get you back into the loop of the habit. You've got to use your higher level. And this is why I talk about talking it out. So what I hear you saying, lower brain, is because I had a bad day at work, I should eat this entire box of cookies because that's now going to make my workday better, right? It's going to make my coworkers less jerky. It's going to make my boss more thoughtful. It's going to it's going to revamp that entire thing. No, now you've eaten a box of cookies, which goes against that long-term plan of the health, the weight loss, and you are still stuck in that same job with those same people. Nothing has changed, right? It's truly just a survival mechanism. It is not there to push you to great things. Anybody who's achieved something great, that has gotten to the end and has done these things, has had to push past that. You can't listen to it every day, find yourself in a perpetual cycle of Groundhog Day, and think that something in your life is massively going to change. And here's how you know. Does this sound super familiar to me? Have I heard this a bunch of times? Because this sounds very familiar. Like I actually got really like, oh my gosh, it literally says the same thing over and over again. Like there is nothing new. It's just a refabricated message versus, right? My higher level brain's like, okay, let's look at the day. What can we do? How can we progress this forward? Yes, this is what we're going to have to do. Like it's very thinking about the future and where I'm trying to move. I hope this message makes sense. You're not crazy, number one. Number two, this battle will go on indefinitely. Your job, the way that I view it, your job is to become hyper aware of what's going on, to know that that voice is going to show up, and to treat it like a solicitor. And I did a video on that, treat your lower brain like a solicitor. And I also did another video called you're giving your lower brain the wrong status in your life. Really start to do that where you treat it like a 3-year-old. Oh, sweetheart, you're so cute. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. Oh, you silly little thing. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I'm just not going to do that today. Okay. And that's all you have to do. Like just do it for one day. Say, I hear you, lower brain. Cookies, pantry, tough day at work. This sounds super familiar. Like every single day, this is what happens. Today, I'm going to say not today. Today, I'm going to say, hey, how about we have those cookies tomorrow? Today I'm going to say no. And when you start to break that cycle, the voice gets softer. It gets less, because what starts to happen is you don't need the habit loop anymore. It's basically like you're realizing I can handle these things and I don't need that habit to support me. I hope this message resonates. Please like and subscribe. Please share. And I also want to let you know I have tons of other ways to help you, including a free weekly podcast that comes out. All the links are in the description to everything I offer: coaching casts, books, podcasts, all that good stuff. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.